What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the huge WrestleMania 41 review. I'm basically just going to be giving all of my thoughts on night 1, night 2, even some SmackDown, the Raw after Mania, what I think might be happening on like SmackDown as well and stuff like that. Everything to do with WrestleMania. So yeah, this is my big review. So I wanted to wait for like the Raw after WrestleMania to come out and everything like that and to see that all. So yeah, that's why it's a bit late, but I did give immediate reactions to WrestleMania individually, night 1 and 2. So I'll leave them both up here, a few seconds apart. And yeah, you can see everything. I mention my predictions and how many I got right, so you don't have to go and watch my pay-per-view prediction videos, but if you want, I'll leave them up there as well. But yeah, let's get into it. Obviously, huge weekend. It didn't feel like that sometimes, though. It didn't feel like WrestleMania to me for a lot of it, which was my issue, but I'll get into that, obviously, because a lot of this is going to be a criticism, to be honest, because I was left disappointed with it by this guy who promised big things. Some big things happened, to be fair, but a lot of it felt lackluster. I'll get on to Triple H. Obviously, he headlined the Hall of Fame and stuff like that, and he said loads of things because the speech was about 14 hours long, and like there was the guy shouted out China and he said, yeah, she'll be in the Hall of Fame. And then he mentioned it again in his press conference when someone asked and said like, yeah, everyone will be in it. There's people who need to be in it, but have been left out and stuff like that. And talking of that, there was a few people on the card, or not on the card, that definitely could have been on the card. Here's a few notable missions for me. Obviously, Andrade was relegated to the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal again. He did come as the runner-up, which is interesting, with Carmelo Hayes, and maybe they're building something like that in the future, which I would be very on board with. I would like to see Andrade doing more. We saw him in the AAA announcement, which I might do a video on soon, or an episode of Let's Talk Wrestling, but I'll probably do a bit more research into it and stuff like that. Obviously, they're a Lucha Libre company. He did look pretty pissed in that, maybe rightfully so, but I was glad to see him get a decent run because hopefully he isn't being buried, because him and Charlotte have got divorced now, 0-3, well in Tiffy. But yeah, there's him, obviously. Sheamus, a big omission, not on the card, wasn't on Raw either last night. I don't know if there's a reason for that. I know he was in Vegas, he did like fan appearances and stuff over the weekend, but not on the card. A lot of people, myself included, assumed he would be in the IC title picture again, looking for that Grand Slam, you know, but not happened. Did not happen. Obviously a fatal four-way, and he wasn't even one of them. Kevin Owens is an obvious one. The neck injury kept him out, which is really unfortunate, especially given how long it will be, because we saw in his interview that he did with Chris Van Vliet that he said he might never face John Cena again. That'd be really disappointing, because obviously they had some great matches back in 2015 and sort of revitalized Cena's career and really kicked off Kevin Owens' career on the main roster. Obviously, that big surprise win on his debut was incredible. But yeah, we might never see them two share the ring again, which would be really disappointing. We don't know how long he'll be out for, but you've got to think it's a lengthy amount of time if he's already thinking he might not face John Cena, because it's going to be, you know, a long period of time into what, the 8 months he's got left. Then you have Rey Mysterio, who's also left off the show due to a knee injury he sustained in the six-man tag on Friday Night SmackDown. The only good thing about it was that Dom got some pretty good little digs in at him, and I did enjoy that, to be honest. But yeah, Rey was a big omission, which meant Rey Fénix took his place and took the loss at the hands of El Grande Americano, which is, you know, just a story that sort of takes the piss out of his culture and luchadors in general, while WWE purchased AAA. Don't understand it. I don't understand him being put in that position either. I do get that he is brand new on the roster, and for like fans that aren't so aware of AEW or like much outside of WWE, like I wouldn't say I am. I might be tempted to be a little bit after this weekend, but you know, they might not know much about Rey Fénix or anything like that, so establishing him on a WrestleMania is a good place to go. Maybe not feed him his first loss on the main roster, though. And I'm not saying that I want Dragon Lee to lose, but Dragon Lee could have been in that spot. It wouldn't have harmed him. In fact, it would have helped him being on WrestleMania, like we saw with some other guys this weekend, like Joe Hendry, who I'll probably also get onto. This is going to be a long video. Strap in if you haven't already. And I guess while you're putting your seatbelt in or whatever, you may as well click the subscribe button, turn your post notifications on for other videos like this. And I've just knocked over probably the best setup of the video there. But if you're enjoying so far, please do like the video, and then in like 40 minutes when it's over, don't unlike it, you know, just leave it there. But yeah, I'm talking shit now. I'll get back to the wrestling. Dragon Lee could have been in that position, and obviously due to the interference, it wouldn't have really harmed him so much. But the 450 senton was awesome. That was really cool. Not a huge fan of the whole El Grande Americano though. I really wish it was just Chad Gable. WWE seemed to be leaning into the sort of casual racism side of things recently. You know, they made that Gulf of America sort of blunder that they then changed about where he was billed from, which is sort of funny, but probably best to just avoid it. And then on the Pat McAfee show, Paul Heyman saw a guy in the crowd and said he was going to get deported, which seems like a bit of a risky joke, sort of crossed the line. We can assume that he said quite a lot of other things like that on the roast of WWE or the roast of WrestleMania, whatever it was, because apparently he spoke quite a lot on it, and it hasn't aired. It was like professionally filmed, and they have not aired it because it was a bit of a shit show apparently. Loads of inappropriate jokes that would definitely not help WWE's PR in what has already been a pretty disastrous PR week for wrestling, for WWE. I did make a video on that, so if you're interested, I'll leave it up there. Basically going through all of WWE's PR blunders in their biggest week of the year, which was interesting, wasn't it? Then you have Naomi, who got crushed by Jade Cargill. I think that was the wrong decision, to be honest. I think a heel Naomi needed that win more than Jade Cargill did, and probably deserved it more. Jade Cargill, she's still a bit green. You could see that Naomi was sort of leading her through it like any good veteran would, but I don't understand why they made her go away for so long. I do get the whole storyline, but it's like she's probably at a point of her career, because of how short she has been in the business, that she should just be getting as many reps in as possible. And instead you put her on the sideline, and then her first match is at WrestleMania. That's asking for trouble, really, at the end of the day. But yeah, Naomi suffered for that. The other women's match on that night was Tiffany Flair versus Charlotte Stratton. Yeah, that's spot on, isn't it? Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair, which I did rewatch, and it was better than I remembered. It was pretty good. Seemed like Charlotte was sort of sandbagging her a bit. I know a lot of people said she was walking her through the match and all that, a bit like Naomi and Jade, but she was definitely sandbagging a bit on that finish with the rolling senton, at least. But really happy that Tiffany won that, and I guess we'll see more of that on SmackDown, because they aren't on Raw. But you know, I'm interested in when the draft will happen, because a lot of stuff is like moved around at the minute. Up next, onto AJ Styles. Logan Paul, obviously nowhere to be seen, dickhead. Let's keep it like that if we can. AJ Styles versus Karrion Kross has got to be the way it's heading, potentially a Backlash, which I would be interested in. But it's going to be a 5-match card again. I forgot that. Stupid Hunter and his 5-match cards. But Karrion Kross has been a really shining light in the last few days. I really wanted him to be involved in the match, and he was very small amount. We saw AJ punch him in the face when he tried to get him to turn to the knuckle duster for the greater good, as Karrion Kross would say. And that was his only involvement. And we saw that incredible promo he did on that, like, night 1 review or night 2 review, whatever it was, with Sam Roberts and someone else. And that was one of the best things to come out of the weekend. I thought that promo was incredible. It was really line blurring, you know, and you couldn't tell what was real, what wasn't. Scarlett said at one point that, like, yeah, they had 25 years experience between them, and they don't even get on the Mania card. And you've got to assume that bit was scripted, because then later on in it, she looks like what did you just say? Like he's crossed the line and he's just kept going, because he basically said fuck you at Triple H, which is fair enough, you know, because I've felt like saying that quite a lot, and I'm sure a lot of other people will have as well. But I'm hoping Karrion Kross gets a push. There was a push Karrion sign in the crowd last night, so that was interesting. I'm going to try and speed up. Sin City Street Fight, Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. Good match. Obviously, we'll see more of that on SmackDown. I am hoping Drew McIntyre gets a push more into the world title scene. Damian Priest, I don't know where he goes from here. He seems to be sort of slipping out of that. But maybe US title feud against Jacob. Who knows? But yeah, tons of stuff to come. On Friday, obviously on last Friday's episode of SmackDown, there was a big boo in the crowd, like there was when Karrion Kross was eliminated, which he did also mention in the promo. There was a big boo when Nick Aldis announced the triple threat match between Street Profits, Motor City Machine Guns, and DIY in a TLC ladder match for next week's episode of SmackDown. And I do understand that WrestleMania is a huge draw. WrestleMania is a huge event. No one's just tuning in for the SmackDown tag titles. But at the same time, that is so much more worthy of a WrestleMania match than the New Day versus the War Raiders. I'm sorry to both of those teams, but it was. And it could have even added in Pretty Deadly, added in Los Garza. I know that's not Humberto Carrillo. That's Santos Escobar, but he's in charge, and I don't have an Humberto figure, as he's stupidly called these days. So you could have made that a 5-way tag ladder, and it would have tore the house down, been one of the best matches on WrestleMania, because WrestleMania was really lacking of good matches, which it shouldn't be, because half of the name is wrestle, you know, and that's what it should be about. It should probably closer to Advertising Mania, or, you know, Money Mania, Rapper Mania. Other stupid names apply, but yeah, definitely should have been on the card. But I do understand that they want to keep something in their hand, you know. Triple H gives it that shit, like, oh, you got to have a plan for after WrestleMania. What, like, just leave things off of the WrestleMania card and have them later? That's not having a plan for after WrestleMania. That just means you're prolonging things and pissing off the fans in the process, to be honest. But yeah, another plan for after Mania is Aleister Black's debut, which I'm pretty sure is coming on Friday, because we've seen those vignettes and like the date and all that stuff. I think that's for this week, right? But that would be cool. I really like Aleister Black. He definitely should have done more in WWE his first time around. Also, probably on Friday Night SmackDown, Jacob Fatu, represented here by Solo Sikoa, is your new United States champion, which, great match, really enjoyed that. Looking forward to Jacob's run. It will be interesting to see what the sort of dynamic is between the bloodline now. Big E said on the post show, which was a really like kayfabe breaking sort of thing, we said like the company are trying to present Solo as the main guy, but Jacob's undeniable or something like that. You know, he's obviously overtaken Solo, and it'll be interesting to see how they play on that. I think they definitely have a feud in the future, as do Jacob and Roman, and that's where Jacob should win and really catapult into the main event scene if he isn't already there. Which I'm really excited for. LA Knight should go to the main event. I do not care. Jey Uso is a world champion. The guy can barely wrestle. I'm sorry. I'll get onto that shit show of a match later. But yeah, while we're on sort of returns with Aleister Black, Rusev returned in a weird match where the New Day came out, and then Alpha Academy came out wanting a match, and then the match didn't happen, and Rusev just returned and attacked Alpha Academy. Really weird. Obviously, Rusev's cool. I like Rusev. Rusev Day forever, whatever. And yeah, all that good stuff. But why? This was a really weird way to have the debut, in my opinion. Is he going to feud with Otis? Really? Is that what you've got him doing? It's a weird signing, because I don't know where he fits in. And if it's feuding with Otis, I don't get that. And it's also annoying because you cannot pose the accolade on a figure that big. But he looks jacked. Should be interesting to see what he does, but I did not understand that debut at all. That was really weird. On to the New Day. I've already mentioned them and the War Raiders. A lackluster match, to be honest. It was better than the first match of the night, of night one, but it wasn't great. It felt short. All of the matches felt short. The longest, or the second longest match was 21 minutes. I'm guessing the triple threat on night 1 was longer. I don't know the official time. But all of the matches felt really short. For a 4-hour show on both nights, 7 matches, you know, you can give them longer than that. This was like 9 minutes, had sort of like a false finish. Like, no one really expected the finish because Eric's legs were getting dragged out, which was a good bit of heel tactics. But I didn't like it, and I don't understand the point of that being on the card if it isn't for like a big return like Big E, because that's why I'll get onto the women's tag titles. Actually, I'll mention that now because we're getting into the Judgment Day side of things. The women's tag title match, Bayley was kicked out of it for no reason whatsoever. Well, for a big reason. Becky Lynch probably politics her way in, or everyone wanted Becky Lynch more because Becky's a higher level of star, which Bayley actually said in an interview with Chris Van Vliet like yesterday, or maybe even today it was released. She said she doesn't feel like she's on the same level. You know, it's Charlotte and Becky, and then she's below it, which is unfortunate because it's true. That is how she's definitely viewed. You know, when Bayley was, her match versus Io could have easily main evented last year, and if it wasn't for Goldilocks at the back there, The Rock, it probably would have, which is really unfortunate. But I think she's actually my favourite 4 horsewoman, other than her finishes. They're both terrible. I'm sorry, Bayley, but they are both terrible. I think she's my favourite 4 horsewoman, and she was kicked out of there. She wasn't given the Roxanne match at WrestleMania, which makes no sense unless you want to only have like a balanced card, so it's 7 matches and 7 matches. Then put the SmackDown tag titles on. Why? Why would you leave that off? But yeah, enough ranting about that. While I'm here, women's triple threat, fantastic, incredible match, really, really good match. One of the matches of the weekend. Other than NXT stuff was apparently great. I've not watched it. I'm definitely going to tune in more because I might go on a bit of a NXT sort of watch through now for a bit because, you know, the main roster's sort of shit. And especially the NXT women's division seems to be incredible. Like their fatal 4-way on Stand and Deliver was obviously jacked. You know, you got Kelani Jordan, Jada Parker, Julia, and Stephanie Vicaire for the NXT women's title when she came out on Raw against Io, and they had a pretty great match with a shit DQ finish. Can you have a match without a DQ finish? There's only 3 on the whole nearly 3-hour show, which was like 30 minutes. So 2.5 hours. I get that it's the Raw after WrestleMania. It's more like, oh, celebration. Oh, I won a title. Oh, setting up the next feud. But you can have more than 3 matches, and with the best one coming as a DQ finish. I mean, it's just bullshit. But we'll get on to the other match of the night, the sort of main event. But that's another theme as of late. Main events of cards are not main events anymore. Main events are actually little promo segments. But Dom retains, gives Penta his first loss, which was interesting. We saw JD McDonough return and Carlito also helping out. We saw Carlito help Dom out a lot at WrestleMania, and not so much Finn. We saw Finn came in and said, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, which I thought was weird because they were still in Vegas. So, you know, CA retains, which I'm really happy about. Dom seems to be heading to like a sort of more of a face dynamic, him and Liv, which does make sense because Rhea was basically an abusive partner and he got out of that, but she's a face, and now she's a face again because in the Io Sky stuff, when the Stephanie DQ finish came, when Julia and not Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez attacked them, Rhea came out to save her, so she's still a face, but she's coming for the title, even if Io wasn't in the match, Bianca Belair had her beat. Bianca's got to turn heel, right? That's where it's going there, which should be interesting because she's not really done that before. But yeah, back onto the Judgment Day. Dom retains. Finn potentially has to be the heel now because Dom's over, Liv's over. They're the new tag champs. I forgot to say that. They're back to being the tag champs, 4-time tag champs, because they had a rematch for some reason, even though rematch clauses aren't a thing, or they are a thing, who knows. And then Lyra gets pinned by Liv, and Becky turns on her. Shit, that was shit. I do not like Becky Lynch at all anymore, to be honest. She's She's really going down in my estimations, to be honest. She'll be disappointed to know. But yeah, didn't enjoy that, and she just clotheslined her. It would have been better if she just hit her with the manhandle slam straight away, because they hugged. That's the perfect time. Just hook the arm, manhandle slam, walk out. Don't shout shit at her like she owes you something. Like, you don't care about the tag titles, Becky. You're obvious, and she's gonna go on and get a match for an IC title shot, probably. And she has to put her over there, because there's nothing. Becky Lynch does not need the IC title. If she goes in and just wins the IC title after she's won the tag titles, then she's just turning into another Charlotte Flair who always needs a title. And she won the NXT title not long ago as well. But yeah, that's everything there. Penta gets his first loss, which is interesting. We get on to, there's Jeff Hardy. He was pitched to take the open challenge spot, but he didn't, which it would have really popped me. But anyway, John Cena, Randy Orton. John Cena cuts a promo and all that stuff. Not bad. My phone's running out, that's why I'm skipping a lot of stuff here. And then Randy RKO's him, sets up a match at Backlash, because that's probably the next time we'll see Cena, with 27 dates to go. So that takes us to 26. That means we've had 10. And probably will be the worst match they've ever had. And they've had a lot of matches. You know, it's just going to be two old guys near retirement fighting in the main event of a pay-per-view. But, you know, should be interesting. Probably one of the best segments of the night. Gunther came out, talked shit. I don't know what happened on the playback. There was like 3 minutes missing in the middle of Raw around this segment. I don't know if it came back from like an ad break and Gunther was just shouting at Michael Cole. He then takes Michael Cole in a rear naked choke, and Pat McAfee punches him. The security come in and do the useless job that they always do, and then Gunther cinches in a rear naked choke, what looked to be a shoot chokehold on Pat McAfee to really get the intensity and the redness in the face, and then obviously loosened it off a bit, probably to write McAfee off for a while, hopefully, because a lot of people don't like him. Some people don't like Michael Cole either, with his whole shield chair stuff, which is a bit cringy. But Gunther is going mega heel now, which I am interested to see. And then there's obviously the other man from that story, Jey Uso, comes out, does his entrance, his theme song plays 3 times, there's 3 loads of yeets, and that's the best part of his title reign, probably ever. Sami Zayn comes back, some dick has a Israel flag, which I'm glad he posted about on Instagram. He misses WrestleMania. I don't know if he was injured, but he showed up here to say congratulations. I was hoping he would say, but I want the title. But Sammy shouldn't be a heel. I think he was a heel for a while. He probably shouldn't be now. But it was nice to see him back. But he's got to be thinking, like, bittersweet. Like, yeah, he's obviously proud of him because they're really close. But he should have been in that spot. He should have been world champion. If Jey Uso can be world champion, but Sami Zayn has never been world champ, that is a travesty, if I'm honest. Jimmy also comes out for like 5 minutes. Cody Rhodes tonight did his best Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson appearance impression by not showing up. I'm guessing he'll go on a bit of a leave of absence for a while. Hopefully people will begin to appreciate him, because it was a piss take that he was getting booed. I know that it's John Cena. I know it's his final Rumble, his final WrestleMania, but don't boo the biggest babyface the company's had in years. I mean, and that was the best part of Cena's promo for me, when he pointed that out and the fickleness and saying that's what's wrong with him. The Rock talks shit. He wanted to turn Cody heel, which would have been also terrible, by the way. I do understand it, because he sort of had hints of that against Kevin, which is why the title spot was so stupid, because he's holding the title, and should he hit him, should he not? Cody did the same thing back at Saturday Night's main event, back at Saturday Night's main event against Kevin, which is why he turned on him, or why he like continued to turn on him and hit him with that pile driver and stuff. And it's like he's regressed as a babyface and went stupid. But The Rock's a dick. He said he texted Cody and Cena saying like, the final boss has done all he has to do, I don't think he should get involved. You're just lazy, Rock. That really pissed me off even more. And then we have the final angle of the night, which was really good. Paul Heyman obviously turned on Punk and Roman, really getting through this now. Rollins comes out, does his promo, which I'm glad that he's got Paul Heyman now, because he was getting a bit stale. You know, he came out and does the same promo every week, and he does his entrance and all that stuff. Other than that, not a huge fan. I would like him to be a heel, though. I really like heel Rollins. I think he should be the Messiah in this role. The Messiah would be great. But now he has Bron Breakker on his team. Other people were mentioning Carmelo Hayes. That'd be cool, but he's on SmackDown, so I don't know if he'll transition. I don't know. But yeah, he is the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner. I don't know if I've missed any matches here or anything. Roman will probably leave for ages now. Hopefully CM Punk will get himself back to the main event of WrestleMania next year. Hopefully Rollins wins the title from Jay, and then maybe a while later Braun turns face on him and wins the title off of him. And that is everything for WrestleMania 41, Night 1, 2, Raw after WrestleMania, SmackDown, whatever you want to say. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have and you didn't click the like button earlier, please do. Same with the subscribe button, you know. They're best friends. You may as well click them at the same time to keep them together. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.